I'm standing in the centre of Hampton Down Stone Circle on a chalk ridge overlooking the English Channel. I've got Neolithic monuments to the east, I've got Neolithic monuments to the northwest, I've got a Neolithic sarsen stone quarry called the Valley of Stones to the north. It's an area that's steeped in Neolithic. It was, for those times, it was probably quite heavily populated. All the long barrows dotted around show that it was a site used by communities, not by individual farmer families. But let's get back to the circle, because behind me in the undergrowth that you can't really see is the remnants of a mound. Not a Bronze Age barrow that associated with the circle, but earlier, most likely a Neolithic barrow, and these stones you see and various ones scattered around are what the Beaker people, the early Bronze Age people, stole from the Neolithic barrow to make this circle. Now, it's had a very checkered history, this circle. It's obviously not well looked after now, but it's been quite badly abused in the past. Before about 1900, the early antiquarians had been messing about around here. The farmers had moved all the stones, and the antiquarians thought they'd got a better idea of where the stones should be. So they created another circle east of here. Nothing like the original circle. In fact, they ended up having between 16 and eventually 28 stones in it. But in 1965, the circle, or rather the circle over there that had been rebuilt, came to the attention of the Department of Public Works, or the Ministry of Public Works it were then, and they thought something don't add up. So they appointed an archaeologist called Geoffrey Wainwright in 1965 to come and have a look at the area, do an excavation of the circle and its surrounding areas to see what else was here. And during the excavations they found out that that circle over there was total myth. Stratigraphy showed that it hadn't existed anything before the 17th century. So they started looking further afield, and they found not only the site of the original circle and the socket holes where the original stones had stood, but they also found straight in front of me, directly north, a trackway that led to the circle. The bottom end of the trackway were marked by post holes. They found stake holes showing that there were posts leading along the trackway to the circle. So it did have some significance. But the excavation showed nothing. No burials, no cremations, no artifacts of any kind. Totally sterile. So what they did is they put some of the original stones back in the sockets to show where the circle were, and built a bit of a fence round it, most of which has disappeared, in the hopes that it wouldn't be disturbed again. Now, the original circle were about, well, you can't tell because of the undergrowth. I'll put an aerial view with a bit of a shape drawn over it. During excavation, they discovered that the circle was originally about 6.5 metres wide, as I said, a roughly oval shape, with V ditches either side, which ran parallel to the track. Only a narrow track, about 1.2 metres wide. So the excavation showed nothing, not even that after it was constructed in the Bronze Age, it was used. Certainly not heavily used. As I said, no burials, no ceremonies, no offerings, no cremations, nothing. It was just a Neolithic barrow. All the curbstones around the barrow were torn off, scattered around, and some of them used to build this circle by the Beakers. And after that, it seems to have been ignored. And sadly, since 1965 when they did the excavation, it's continued to be ignored. A small, early Bronze Age, late Neolithic, Beaker invasion, let's put it that way, Beaker people, stone circle that seems to have served little or no purpose whatsoever. It's not even astronomically aligned, at least with the Neolithic sites. They were always aligned astronomically, sunrise, sunset or some other measurement, but this seems to be aligned north-south with ditches east-west. Make of that what you will. All I know is it's just another example of the Beakers tearing down the Neolithic religions, the Neolithic communities, and supplanting them with their own. So final look around. In front of us, the English Channel, which finally filled up after the last ice ages about 8,000 years ago. And then 6,000 years ago, the European farmers, the Neolithic farmers, crossed over and settled alongside the Mesolithic hunter-gatherers that were in the area. We're looking west here towards Abbotsbury Hill Fort, an Iron Age hill fort, and across to Kingston Russell Circle, Greymaid, Colts, Winterbourne, Poorlock, Barrows, and east to the strangely named Hellstone, a Neolithic long barrow.